Mick Cronin, I think that the way that this season has played out for UCLA, they go on the road. Hold on, let me make sure I bring this up so I have the timelines correct, right? They go on the road and they lose. They lost to Michigan at home. And he calls everybody in the program out, right? He says, our players are soft. He says, my assistants suck. He says, we can't do anything. We can't win. We can't do this. We can't do the third. They go to Maryland. They get smacked at Maryland. He gets ejected. He says, oh, it's too hard. Like, we got to do all this travel. We got to do this. We got to do that. They go to Rutgers. They lose at Rutgers. They lost 4 in a row. They lost 5 out of 6. They're sitting there 11-6 overall, 2-4 in the Big Ten. And everyone's like, yeah, it's done. UCLA runs over. Mick Cronin's never going to make it work. He's blaming everybody else. This, that, blah, ripping them left and right. Then you beat Iowa at home. Then you beat Wisconsin at home. You go and you win at Washington. You win at USC, whatever. You beat Oregon by like 30 at home. And then Michigan State comes to town, and you beat up on the Spartans, who were all alone in first place in the Big Ten. Illinois is kind of falling away here. Ohio State's kind of fallen away a little bit, right? Michigan's kind of fallen away a little bit here. And all of a sudden, yeah, I saw that. All of a sudden, we are looking at a situation where UCLA might be the hottest team in the Big Ten this side of Braden Smith, Fanta. What do you make of the Bruins? What do you make of this Mick Cronin turnaround? Are you surprised to see a team get ripped by their coach publicly like this multiple times and then go on a run?
Not at all. Not at all, because
this is what he does.
This is what he does, and his team does not play. His team is not good. What they do is not going to be hung in the Louvre. I mean, they're not. This is not artistic or beautiful basketball. They shot 35% in the game last night, 21 of 60 from the floor, 7 of 28 from 3. But they're figuring out ways to win, and I think that Tyler Bilodeau is just tough. I mean, that kid was a really nice portal lad from Oregon State. Sky Clark, last night, I thought he turned in a nice performance. It's been up and down for him. At times he's been very quiet. But they just need Dylan Andrews, Kobe Johnson, or Sky Clark to drive them enough. Because they're going to guard. They're going to guard. Overall, like Mick was talking about Kobe Johnson and how much of a leader he was going to be, he's kind of had a weird season. I mean, collectively, this has been a strange year because when you look at a team that got ripped that badly, they don't have a bad loss. All 6 of their losses are quad 1. Like, if you want to say at Rutgers is a bad loss, like, I'm not going to fight you on it because they've really struggled, but it's still a quad 1 game. So
is Carolina still a quad 1?
I don't think so. I think that went away.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wins and losses, and at first glance, I think are they still a quad 1?
Wow, overnight it went to quad 2.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Fanta. I didn't mean to correct you. I was sitting here. I was looking at those wins. I was like, if they're still quad 1, there's something wrong with the system.
Yeah, they that literally happened overnight.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. You're right. Look, they are a team that's going to grind you down defensively and make your life a living hell for 40 minutes when they're at their best. They want to make you uncomfortable and get the game on their terms. And what they did in Michigan State last night was they slowed down Michigan State.
Yeah.
If Michigan State is stuck in a half-court game, they're going to struggle. This is a vintage Izzo team. They've got to go. They got to go. And they got an offensive rebound and get to the rim. They're not going to shoot the ball great. But Akins was good last night. Outside of Akins, nobody besides Kohler had more than 6 points in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a UCLA grinder. It's a Mick Cronin special. And can they make the second weekend? Yes. Would I be shocked if they made a regional final? Maybe I'd be surprised a little bit, but because of the way they play, they're in any game.
I would not be shocked to see UCLA make a regional. Like, Mick Cronin, how many times has he done this before, man? He's turned this UCLA team into a vintage Mick Cronin basketball team. And I didn't think that he'd be able to do that with it. It was not surprising to me that he got a team with Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell and turned them into a Mick Cronin team because those guys, like, let's call it what it is, they were Mick Cronin players. He brought in Sky Clark from the transfer portal. Like, all due respect to Sky Clark, but that's not a guy that I would have looked at and said, oh, yeah, that is a Mick Cronin point guard right there. that is a dude that's going to make it work. Where the coach is going to yell at you and cuss at you and make want to play defense, and you're going to have to be tough and physical and do all of those things that I did not think that Sky Clark necessarily was going to want to do. I didn't think he could turn Eric Daly into a Mick Cronin basketball player. I didn't think that was a great fit, and he's done it. So credit to him, man. He's bucked the trend of needing. He made a Mara. A Mara is now a Mick Cronin basketball player, right? Like, it's just, I don't know, T.O. I'm pretty impressed with this turnaround of this coaching performance.
They're tough. I mean, we've said it before. We'll say it again. What's your goal is to play your best basketball in February. I guess he was just beating them down to build them up a little bit later, I guess. Who knows? But like they're playing well. And sometimes, guys, when you're close, you know, I would consider that at Rutgers, that's a long travel. At Maryland, that's a long travel. Like, travel's a real thing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing for these basketball teams. You get home against Iowa. That was your get-right game because Iowa's – and then after that, you play well against the Hawkeyes, and then you get Wisconsin at home, and you're feeling good. So you get a 2-point win. So it starts to snowball, right? And as a team, whenever your confidence starts to raise collectively – then it's like, okay, we do have enough talent to win these games. So you go to Washington, you get a win. You go down the road to USC, you get a win. And then you have a really good offensive performance against Oregon. And then you're at home against Michigan State. And then you don't have a great offensive performance, but at the same time, you just kind of make them play your style. And they can win games. If we know one thing about Mick Cronin throughout the course of his career, he's been able to win close games in the 60s. We know that. Yep. So if it comes down to an extra possession, a loose ball, something like that, I give it to him.
Yep. And just to put in context, the travel that you were talking about, Saturday, December 21st, UCLA plays North Carolina in Madison Square Garden. Then they go to home for Christmas, right? Then they come back 28th. They're playing in LA against Gonzaga. January 4th, they're playing at Nebraska.
Not a short trip for them.
Not a short trip. You got to come back home January 7th. On that Tuesday, you're playing Michigan at home. That's the one where they got smoked, right? And then on January 10th, you are at Maryland, and then you're on the East Coast for 4 days because you're playing at Rutgers, and then you come home and you play Iowa at home. So, like, that is a lot of travel for college kids that are not used to traveling like that to play games. So it's not really a surprise to me that they got back from all that and kind of figured it out. And then the same breath, like I'll call it what it is. Purdue going to the West Coast and then coming back and losing at home to Ohio State. That is one that looks to me a little bit like a schedule loss, right?
Oh, yeah.
Michigan State going out to the California schools and losing at USC in a 6-point game and at UCLA in a 2-point game says a lot more to me about the schedule and the travel than it does about what Michigan State is this season as a basketball program. So schedule losses are certainly a thing that need to be kind of recognized and in the consciousness of people in college basketball this season.